This is Channel 4 and Sign On.
Hello, I'm Simeon Hart. Welcome to Sign On Your Views. In last month's programme we dealt with the very sensitive subject of abuse of deaf children. Thanks to those of you who responded so positively to the programme and felt so strongly about the abuse issue. It's good to know the deaf community is prepared to face the problems that this subject presents and want to do something about it.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Edwards. We received nearly 50 phone calls on our confidential helpline. Quite a few were from hearing people seeking advice for themselves, which demonstrates the widespread problem of abuse. We hope that the information and help given by the counsellors was useful to both our deaf and hearing viewers. But the reaction to the helpline does point to the need for more trained counsellors. One potentially good thing is that next year the British Deaf Association is planning a series of courses to train deaf people to become counsellors in the areas of health and young people. Please contact the BDA for information on developments there. In the meantime, remember this month's Sign On supplement contains useful information and addresses.
In today's programme, we will stay with the subject of young deaf people. There are over 73,000 young deaf and hearing impaired children between the ages of 2 and 16 who will have hopes and ambitions when they grow up. How will they get access to information and activities? You may recall your own experiences on how helpful or not other people were to you in your life. We received a letter from 16-year-old Tyrone Wolfe, raising some of the issues that concern him and the Sign On programme.
In the past, there has been no access to television for young deaf people. That is, until Sign On. It's brilliant, and we really can relate to it. But we're concerned, where is the youth section on the programme? I assume Sign On was aimed at a wider audience, from young people through to old. My friends want more youth issues included, such as filming at different schools, different communication, and coming into deaf youth clubs to show that young people are there.
Well, it was nice to have a pat on the back, but there was a challenge there to the Sign On team. What is available for the youth of today? What do young people want? And what are the organisations responsible for coordinating activities for young deaf people doing? Later in the programme, we invite representatives of these organisations to face some of our young deaf viewers and answer their questions. Should be interesting.
We asked Deaf Owl to find out what was being organised, and they decided to visit Deaf Accord's Open Day for the Young Deaf in Birmingham, where the 4 organisations which make up Deaf Accord, that is the BDA, the British Deaf Association, the NDCS, the National Deaf Children's Society, BAHO, the British Association for the Hard of Hearing, and SENSE, were already setting out their stalls.
It behoves all of us in the British Youth Council and in other organisations to ensure that there is a common platform of dialogue for young people, to come together with their different perspectives, to join a common chorus about what young people want, what they believe, and trying to articulate that to government and to other decision makers. Deaf Accord allows you an opportunity to influence the decision-making processes of your organisation.
Okay, I'd now like to, having thanked Bernard, I'd now like to thank you all for coming along today, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And I'd like to explain what's going to happen. There are various workshops through the day. The first workshop is talking about parliamentary lobbying and campaigning, and that is through the door on your left at the back of the hall upstairs. And there's also a workshop talking about training.
The MPs presented those petitions in the House of Commons. It's also important that local parties consider having sign language interpreters when they organise meetings and conferences. Otherwise, deaf people can never get involved in politics, and they're always going to feel totally outside of that.
I found it very interesting. I'm now very interested in politics. There are so many things I didn't know about politics until today. I should be writing to lobby my MP.
I mean, to give you an idea of what, you've got all these lists of things, but what do they do to develop your self-confidence and...
The basic answer is they are different languages, they are separate languages. There is no relationship at all between them. Is that clear? Okay. You said that, didn't you? Yes or no? Do you disagree with that?
When I'm growing up, this BSL, I didn't have English because it was the way we've been taught.
I'm from Leeds, and I came here thinking I would learn something new. But really, it all seems old hat to me, nothing new at all. There needs to be more information aimed at those that don't know anything about all this.
Right, now what are we going to do? This is the box that you all wrote some questions on and put them all in the box here. I don't know myself what's in here. I'm going to pick out a piece of paper, look at what the question is, and tell you what it says. And then it's up to you yourselves as an audience. Anyone can respond to the questions, okay? Do you understand? What do the people who've participated today, what do you think about today?
As a one-off course, it needs to be longer. The 1 hour sessions, I felt I learned nothing in an hour. It needs to be longer, say a weekend or a whole day, so we could really learn about one particular topic or something.
Well, it's a good question. You have to be a member of one of the member organisations. And Barhow has a youth section, and if you're a member of that, then through that, there are different representatives from each of the organisations. There are 5 people can be reps from each of the member organisations. But you have to be a member through the organisation and can't join as an individual before you can have access to being on the Youth Council. But you can have access to the information without actually being part of the council. But I look forward to seeing you at the disco tonight. Hope that everyone's going to Birmingham Deaf Club. Thanks very much and bye-bye.
I think today's open day was successful because it showed that young deaf people can do it themselves and gain the experience. The workshops went well and the Technology Information Centre was interesting. I could see the young people enjoyed it, so yes, it was successful. in the studio are some young deaf people eager to pose questions to 3 providers of deaf youth services. They are Peter Shaw, who is the Assistant Director of Youth Services at the BDA, Damien Barry, National Training Manager for FYD, Friends for the Young Deaf, and Craig Crowley, the Youth Work Development Officer from Deaf Accord. I don't know much about your 3 organisations, FYD, BDA and Deaf Accord. I know nothing about them. Can you tell us what FYD and the other organisations do?
FYD is an organisation that aims to enable and encourage young deaf people to actually develop themselves and become active members of the society that they live in. And we do that through training courses and opportunity by providing them with the skill and the knowledge to enable them to integrate in the society which they live in.
The BDA is deaf people's own organisation. It was established by deaf people themselves and is 100 years old. We've got 3,000 or 4,000 members all over Great Britain. There are meetings happening all over the country in regions north and south, east and west. The Executive Council run the whole organisation, and beneath them are the paid staff, 30 in Carlisle and others in London. The whole lot is run by deaf people. It's their own organisation. Deaf Accord is a consortium of 4 national organisations of deaf, deaf-blind and hard-of-hearing people. They are the BDA, the National Deaf Children's Society, the British Association of the Hard of Hearing, and SENSE, the National Deaf-Blind and Rubella Association. They have joined together to promote awareness and opportunities for deaf and deaf-blind and hard-of-hearing people. My involvement is that I'm the youth worker. I work with the youth groups of the 4 member organisations to encourage them to develop their own initiatives and empower them to make sure they know what they are doing in their youth groups. That's how I fit in.
Deaf youth and hearing youth aren't on equal footing. Can you help us with that?
That's a really good question, because traditionally the BDA has always aimed to make deaf people equal with their hearing peers. We've worked together on how we can achieve that. We've campaigned for national recognition of deaf people's language. A clear deaf identity and developing real deaf pride is vital. We need to be proud to be deaf in order to achieve equality with hearing people. Well, you know that Deaf Accord have a youth council. Well, on that are deaf, deaf-blind and hard-of-hearing young people from the member organisations. The reason for the youth council is so that they can make decisions for themselves about what they want to be happening in the future, activities and so on, in their member organisation. Also, it gives them the opportunity and encourages them to become aware that they are important and can get involved in their organisation. Like, for example, the National Deaf Children's Society. Their youth group campaigned at a management level. They set out their requirements, the management agreed, and that sort of approach is important and can be seen in a positive way.
Quite a lot of times in our lives, you see, we expect to be on the same equal footing as our hearing peers, but quite a lot of times, you know, we need the training to do that. And this is where FYD comes in. We're not about having deaf youth clubs. There are plenty of organisations that does that, like the BDA, and the Deaf Accord helps with that. But what FYD does is provide the training to allow deaf people to compete with equal footing to their hearing peers, so that one day you hope that we will be on an equal footing with youth workers in the youth environment. The other thing is what FYD does is, because of our integration policy, we allow hearing people to have the opportunity to work with deaf people themselves so that they can build up their awareness.
This discussion is fine in theory, but I'm unsure about 2 points. Firstly, FYD has a policy of integration, but what are your priorities? Deaf culture, deaf children? Also, I think you're confused. TC, total communication. For me, TC looks like total confusion. Signing and speaking at the same time, I'm not sure about that. Secondly, at the recent BDA conference in Blackpool, right, Both Sylvia Simmons and yourself, Peter, have been on training courses. You're both qualified youth workers. But when the young people arrived, you never introduced yourselves. We felt lost. We couldn't find the others. When Princess Di came on Tuesday, you herded us together and held a workshop. She came and went, and after that you said the workshop was over and we could go. That was it for the whole week. It was crap.
Now, talking about the congresses in the past, Sylvia and I have our own work programmes. Sylvia is responsible for the young people's and children's outings, and my responsibility is the leisure services programme. Yes, I know at Congress there is no specific provision for young people. We are starting from scratch and building up. Next January we will have a young person's membership of the BDA. That's new. When we know we have a young membership, we can make contact with them and make sure they are involved in the planning and organisation for the next Congress. Last time we had no proper system for contacting young people. It wasn't good enough and difficult to determine the age from the membership list. But this year we are planning from our workshop, like you said. That's our starting point. It was the first time we tried to organise a youth workshop. It had never happened before that first time this year. I know I never made contact, but I had other work connected with the management of Congress, which was a very big operation. We have noted what you said, and we won't ignore that. It will be a priority for next time, and the time after that. What young people want will determine our priorities. Okay?
The BDA are giving us a lot of support with our young Asian deaf group at the moment. They're like giving us confidence building and giving us basic life skills courses. So we are achieving things. The things that we're learning will help us establish ourselves in the future. But I don't know what either FYD or Deaf Accord are doing. So I'd like to ask this question. How many Asian people are involved in your organisations? Do you have any training, particular training for women, or any Asian or white women's groups? Do you have Asian people in the mainstream, or do you have black groups? What about leadership training?
In FYD, we actually have a policy which is an open door policy, and we allow anyone is welcome to come into our organisation, to come onto our courses, Asian, black, white. It doesn't matter. We do not have a monitoring process which says that we must have a certain number. The only policy we have is the deaf and hearing, which is 3 deaf to 1 hearing. But it doesn't really matter about who or what background they come from.
Well, it's interesting that you say that FYD is open to everybody. I'm surprised at that. I've been to a meeting before, but I was really shocked. They were totally oral. There was no BSL. I lost all my self-confidence. Do you exclude BSL and aim for oralists or what? Could you explain? In response to Damien, you said that your priorities are for deaf people. Robin says he went into your meeting but was lost. His complaint is that you use TC, not BSL, so he misses out.
Well, I'm sorry that you've actually had to experience that bad experience, because we try our best to make sure that everyone gets the full access to information. Quite a lot of times when I'm actually giving the talks or I am actually demonstrating something to someone, I always make sure that they have the confidence in the first place to stop me or stop anyone in FYD if they do not understand. Because I think what's happening is people are not aware that FYD has respect for everyone's different communication needs. But like I say, you know, we can't know everything. It is up to the young people themselves to tell us what they need. But it's your program and it's your need that needs to be considered. So we have to do what we have to do to provide that, for you to be able to have that sort of thing happening. So next time you're in an FYD program or whatever and you do not follow the SSE or the total communication approach, it doesn't matter. Stop us. We will find someone who will be able to communicate with you through the BSL approach. But it's up to you. You need to take the initiative, my favourite word, and tell people like us what you need.
Well, I'd like to respond to Damien and also Robin Ash. When you talk about communication, Peter said earlier about deaf pride. That's vital. and so is respect for other people's communication. Not the need for communication, but the difference between people. In my own situation at Deaf Accord, we have 3 completely different groups, and from my own experience that can be very difficult. The important thing is to respect their needs and also what they want. All organisations should be prepared to accept others' needs, never mind their own.
I'm a BSL signer. I'd like to join hearing groups, but there's no signing. I understand BSL signing, so that would give me full access.
Can I ask you 3 why you never go to colleges or schools for the deaf to talk about what the FYD and your other organisations do, or what social events you're planning? You never go. Why?
Yes, that's right, but it would be difficult for me to speak at all colleges. But I did visit some schools, like Derby, where I met Wendy Daunt and Colin Ashmore, and others, and met the deaf children there. It's important for the colleges to know about the BDA. We have posted leaflets to them all. As I said earlier, it's vital for young people to become members. Once I get your address, it means I can send you more information, let you know what's happening with magazines, newsletters or videos. Up to now it's been difficult to contact people. We encourage you in your area to visit your local colleges. I couldn't visit them all. I need to train you how to access and get information to and from the college, into deaf clubs and into people's homes. Hopefully in the future it will be better than it is now. The new youth membership card, which starts next January, will help to iron out some of the problems we've had in the past. Okay? It's the Youth Council's job, their responsibility to publicise their activities to the young members and young people. I can't go. I'm the Youth Work Development Officer, which means I have the role of encouraging them and the role of putting them on the right track. I don't tell them what to do or tell them everything and make decisions for them. They decide for themselves. I encourage and advise, but at the end of the day, they make the decision. But in terms of publicity, thanks for telling me, because that's something I'll pass on to the Youth Council. All your points and ask them what they will do about it. From that they can stop and think and really start working to do something about it. So the Youth Council need information. They need your comments. After all, that's what they're there for.
In FYD, we have a big problem with our PR because there's not enough staff time to be able to go out into the schools and do everything that we want to do, because we want to tell everyone about our training courses and about the ability to develop young deaf people, to build up their confidence and everything, and to have the benefits of integrating in the society they live in. But I don't realise that was the problem for a long time. So what we have done is, we have not done saying, right, we'll publicise everything. What we have done is we've stepped back and said, right, what we need now is to train the people. So right now I have got people, 30 people this year, coming through Section 4, which if they become ambassadors. Now, when they become ambassadors, they are then authorised to represent FYD in their community. So they are the ones that will go out to the local school, the local colleges, all the youth clubs, and get in touch with the BDA and things like that, to tell them what is available.
Can all the organisations just clarify something? You mean that you're waiting for young people to contact you for information? Or you will go out and tell people about it? Who does the contacting? Who is responsible? You? Do you sit back and do nothing and wait to be contacted, or what?
I heard some rumours that somebody told me about Deaf Accord's finances running low. What is happening? Can you tell us?
Well, yes, unfortunately, because of the recession, and it's happening to other deaf organisations. It's unfortunate, but Deaf Accord is one of them. But that doesn't mean the youth work will go by the board. It will carry on because there is recognition of the importance of continuing the Youth Council.
Well, I don't think the deaf young people are satisfied with this debate yet. We'd better stop now or we'll be here till midnight. Bye.